from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Friday, April 29th. So today the moon is still in Aries energy, but will be moving out of Aries and locking into Taurus. Now we are already in the new moon window. We are already feeling the eclipse energy, and we have a pretty big day today because, as we discussed yesterday, we have Pluto going retrograde. If you haven't listened to that astro forecast, definitely check that out. I went on a rant, gave you an oversight, not only on what it is that we're going to experience for the next 5 months, but the transition into this Aquarian energy in a couple of years, the great solar flash. That's the reason why we're all here, why we're ascending. Definitely give that a listen. There's a lot of information in it, and I want you to be informed on what it is that we're currently setting up for ourselves and moving into. We also discussed that Mercury, ruler of the mental plane, moving out of Taurus, moving into its place of power in Gemini. So, as we know, any day that we have that a planet is moving out of a direct position into a retrograde position, we are feeling the confusion. We are feeling the chaos. We can't quite put our finger on it, but we know that something's off. Something doesn't feel right. And as we know, anytime that a planet is moving from one sign to the other, there is an intense pressure taking over because we have that planet at a 29 crisis degree. This is going to put a lot of pressure on our mental plane. Confusion will be high. Uncertainty will be high. Doubts will be high. Restlessness, nervousness, anxiety, high. Why? Well, we have all this energy building, and of course the eclipse energy just a swirling. So we do have to expect that today is going to feel a little bit wonky. It's going to feel all over the place. Now we do have the moon in Aries until about 5:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, when it's going to go void, of course, until about 20 after 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, for that what's going to feel like a very long 2.5, almost 3 hours, please understand that your emotions are going to be hard to control. Your thoughts are going to be hard to control. There's likely going to be life events popping off to try and get you to react from ego, which of course we don't want. We want to act as the observer, see why things are happening, what they're trying to teach us, what it is that they're trying to show us. But just know that with all of this very potent energy swirling, we are not going to feel grounded. We're not going to feel stable. We're not going to feel safe. That is the Taurus energy's job, in order for us to figure out ways to provide ourselves with those feelings, with that foundation, with that safety, that security. And right now, because we are entering into the dark phase of the moon, preparing for this new moon in Taurus, this eclipse energy, we have to sit with the elements that are not in balance, that do not make us safe, that do not make us feel secure in any kind of way. Why? Because we have to illuminate to the parts of ourselves that we're not feeling good about in order to recognize what it is that we have to move away from. That's how we create intentions. That's how we create a framework on what it is that we need to work towards in order for us to create space away from the elements that are not making us feel good. So we got a lot going on. There are 11 different aspects here today. 8 of them involve the moon. Right out of the gate, we have the moon still in Aries, bumping into the true node. And let me tell you, in this way, this is likely going to be an external trigger, an external activation. Things aren't going our way. Things aren't going the way that we had hoped. And whatever aha moment, whatever revelation we've just been illuminated to, likely from the people in our lives, seeing people as they are instead of the way that we want them to be, this is putting us in a very interesting situation because we don't know how to write our future path, our future plan, our future dream, our future vision. It's going to take us a while to see where it is that maybe some people need to be canceled and other spaces, other roles need to be created in order for that casting call to be put out to the universe for those individuals to show up in our lives and to be the kind of energy, encouraging, supporting, like-minded energy that we need in order to bring our vision, our dream to full manifestation. The moon sextiles Saturn. Now, Saturn, of course, is the Lord of Karma. He's in Aquarius energy. He's trying to show us where futuristically we have to have this dream, we have to have this vision, we have to be very specific on the details in order for us to get to work in the here and now, to start creating elements that actually align with that vision. Saturn is about roles and responsibilities, and this karmic new contract that's being revealed and unfolded to us is going to require us to make some serious changes. First of all, within ourself, our emotions, our headspace, getting a grip around the truth of it all, around the reality of it all, and actually do what we can in the here and now, even if it's just a little baby step, in order to start taking control over our emotions, over our mental narrative, so that we can dig into our physical circumstances and start rearranging things that are actually creating a system, a foundation, a structure for us to build our futuristic dream and vision on. The moon goes ahead and bumps into Neptune, again, kind of playing off the external event, that trigger, that activation that we talked about. This is really going to put us at a tough spot because we're unable to connect to our higher selves. We're unable to trust our intuition at this time. Again, things are shaky. Things are very unstable for good reason. This is all the Taurus energy's lessons. And because we're in the dark phase of the moon with planets going retrograde and entering into eclipse season, we have to be shooketh, people. We have to be shooketh up in all the right ways in order for us to realize where it is we've created a false reality, a false illusion, according to our egoic selves, and where it is that our higher self, our soul self, our spirit self is no longer content, feeling safe, feeling secure in the physical circumstances that we are now, quote unquote, stuck in. This is going to make it very hard for us to attach to that dream, attach to that vision, because our physical circumstances are not dictating to us that that dream and that vision is actually possible. At 11:02 Eastern Standard Time, mind you, Pluto is going to go retrograde. Now, Pluto is an outer planet, so it is a very subtle energy. This is not as intense as it would feel if one of the inner planets like Mercury, Venus, or Mars was actually going retrograde, but we're going to feel like something's off. We're not going to be able to put our finger on it. And again, I am going to recommend that you go listen to Pluto's astro forecast because, like I said, it's a half hour of serious details, serious information on what it is that you need to know for the next 5 months, what it is that you need to know for the next 5 years, and takes us all the way into 2044. That is a big deal. That's what we're looking at right now. We have the micro, short term, and we have the macro, big term. We have a lot to understand about the life lessons that Pluto lends us. And I would really, really recommend that you absorb all that information and then you go back and you re-listen to it, because there's new things, new elements, new details that are going to pop out at you and build on the foundation of perception and understanding that the first time around is going to build within you. The moon is going to semi-square Mars. Now, let me just tell you, Mars rules over this Aries energy, and as we've been exploring, any time that the moon in a certain sign goes ahead and bumps into the ruler of that sign, it is definitely felt. We have to remember that Mars, the god of war, ruling over our physical energy, our drive, our passion, our desire, even our anger, is kind of snuffed out here in Piscean energy, making us passive aggressive, making us kind of move inward and really kind of explore our new passions, our new desires, our new dreams. We're really not taking as much physical action in our lives as Mars would like us to, because we have to be emotionally and intuitively inspired to do so. And right now, this isn't really a time of fire. If you notice in the elemental energy profile that I put up in the daily forecast, forecast, we are lacking fire. And especially under this new moon eclipse energy that we're moving into, there is zero fire. This is not time to initiate, not time to begin, not time to aggress ourselves. We have to be receptive. We have to step back. Jesus has the wheel at this point. We have to surrender to the events, the unexpected events, the wild card energy of the universe, and see what flows to us. And for this reason, the moon semi-squaring Mars does kind of create a little bit of frustration and irritability in us because we're not seeing the changes. We're not seeing the progress. We're not seeing the path unfold the way that we thought it should be unfolded by now. And that kind of ticks us off. Keep in mind, you have to keep your energy in check. Aries energy is always a test in energy management. And right now we're kind of being snuffed out, and this can create a lot of irritability, a lot of frustration, a lot of just restlessness. We got ants in our pants. We don't know what to do with it. What should you do with it? You need to throw yourself in physical tasks, mundane tasks and chores that your physical body can engage in to exert that energy through the physical form while your mind can go elsewhere. We need autopilot tasks and chores to engage in right now in order for our bodies to stay busy, that not so nice energy to have a healthy channel in order to get it out of our bodies and give us something to do to distract our physical bodies so that our higher self, our mind space, can really receive a lot of new information, a lot of details that are coming in from the cosmos at this time. The moon is going to bump into Venus, bump into Jupiter in not the most pleasant way. Now we have this beautiful, beautiful aspect between Venus and Jupiter. Of course, we've had several days this week where all of that stellium energy, those planets lined up in Piscean energy, was very magical for those that were able to keep the vibration high, but also very heavy, very weighted, very detrimental to those of us that are suffering with the collective's energy, with the exhaustion, with the depression that of course is coming from illuminating the darkest parts of what the collective's been doing. Us light workers, we haven't been feeling the high vibes. We've been taking the hit for the team and allowing the new awakened individuals to kind of get inspired, get that high vibe, get that inspiration. It is a task, it is a chore, and of course the moon bumping into both Venus and Jupiter in this way is really going to put us at odds with ourselves. Why? Because the external activations, the triggers, the situations, the circumstances that are currently unfolding, especially in our personal relationships, okay? It's ugly. It doesn't feel good. We feel trapped. We don't know how to get out of it. The moon in Aries would prefer to be bold, to be brave, to take action, to cut the head off the snake, to cut the spiritual cords, and to move on. But we have Venus in Pisces energy, Jupiter in Pisces energy, trying to bring everything full circle, to illuminate to us the karmic contracts that are still very much in play, even though we want them to be over. We see the growth, we see the expansion taking place, magnifying situations that are no longer in alignment with our higher self. And the moon in Aries is like, let's do something about it, people. And this Piscean energy is like, no, you got to chill. We have to go with the flow. We have to surrender to the divine script, the divine timing of how these soul contracts are going to end themselves. The ego, right, wants everything to happen yesterday. The spirit knows that it has to unfold organically. And this is where we come into a certain problem. The sun is going to semi-square Neptune. Now, let me just say this semi-square is not a pleasant aspect. And building off of the earlier aha moments of realization that we've been having, the sun in Taurus wants to keep us in the moment, wants to keep us grounded, wants us to be very safe, very secure in our own emotional field. And here's the thing, we're trying, and I'll say it again, we are trying our best to see outside of the physical circumstances that we're in right now, because trust me, if our futures were dependent on the situations and the circumstances that we were currently living in, none of us would have hope. None of us would have a dream. None of us would have a bigger, brighter vision for the future, because our physical circumstances right now are very restrictive, very confining. So this semi-square is like a disconnect with Neptune, our higher selves, our soul selves, our dreams, our creativity, our imaginary land. That's what's been keeping most of us going, right? The sun kind of bumping into Neptune in this way is, again, pushing us, challenging us to see past the current circumstances that we're currently in, but it's hard. And this is where the negative narrative is going to come into play, mostly because the moon is going to square Pluto. This is the last aspect that the moon in Aries makes before we go void of course. That square is a tension point. Pluto likes to illuminate for us. Of course, he's the great transformer. He likes to illuminate for us the pain, the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, not to keep us in a state of paralysis and victimhood, but to hopefully inspire us and act as the catalyst to motivate us to make a change in spite of our physical circumstances. But here's the thing. We're really not supported in making any changes right now in the physical realm. This is an inner job. We are about to enter into eclipse season, people. We have no control over the physical elements of our physical circumstances. We are literally at the mercy of the wild card energy of the cosmos. And let me just remind you that things are not happening to you, they're happening for you. And in eclipse season, the universe sorts the elements out in our lives that we should have sorted out ourselves when we had the power, we had the control to do so, that many of us fail to do because, of course, until our back is against a wall, until we're tired of crying and the pain and the suffering, many of us will not choose to change a damn thing. So right now, the moon squaring Pluto is creating a lot of anger, a lot of frustration in us. We are fixated on those darker topics, those darker themes, and we are angry. We want to make a transformation. We want to see a change, but we're feeling stalled out. It is at this point in time that Mercury goes ahead and moves into Gemini. I laugh because many people are going to have a quote unquote mental breakdown here today, especially as we kind of approach Mercury moving out of Taurus, moving into Gemini energy. Mercury rules over Gemini. Gemini is the twins. We have very extreme points of view. We have extreme choices, extreme decisions, extreme paths being presented to us. Gemini energy highlights the extremes, the dualistic, the polarized decisions, choices, paths in our lives right now, so that we can take it up into the mental plane that, of course, Mercury rules over, sort everything out, process it to the 9th degree, focus on the details, open up our minds to explore both choices, both paths, so that we can find a compromise, a grounding point in the middle. Now, is it going to happen fast? Likely not. I mean, Mercury's already entered into its pre-shadow period just this past Tuesday, which means our mental planes are slowing down each and every freaking day as we approach May 10th, where Mercury will go retrograde. This is going to just kind of put the kibosh on our futuristic plans and show us where it is that we have failed to clean up, tie up the loose ends of our past in order to create a clean and proper space for the new elements to be built. Again, retrograde season, we're looking back, right? And Pluto's already retrograde. That's our inner power. That's our inner transformation. We got some inner realm work to do. When Mercury goes retrograde, you best believe this is going to be a fixated psychological rewriting of the system. Mercury moving into Gemini, definitely putting pressure on our mental plane. This is likely when we're going to feel high bouts of anxiety, nervousness, restlessness, a little bit of anxiety kicking in order for us to realize that, guess what? The energy has shifted. We have a multitude of windows open in our brain. There's music, there's flashing, there's multiple voices speaking at us. We don't know how to shut any of them up. We don't know how to close these boxes out. We're hitting that X and all these little windows popping up and nothing seems to be resolving. This is when the moon, now in Taurus energy, now building towards the new moon solar eclipse taking place tomorrow. The moon is now in Taurus. We are grounded. We are fixated. We have our blinders on. We are very much in our physical bodies. We are very focused on the physical realms. We are having a hard time seeing outside of our physical circumstances in the here and now. What does the moon in Taurus do for the first aspect that it's going to make? Well, it's going to bump into Mercury, fresh into Gemini energy, sitting on the throne just with mind a-spinning. Now, the moon is our heart. Mercury is our head. This particular aspect is not a nice one. It is putting our heart and our head at odds. So we have a very, what I will say, heavy egoic influence happening here, because Taurus energy, Gemini energy in the very first quadrant of the zodiac cycle, which is very focused on building up the egoic identity. The moon in Taurus does not want to think about the past, does not want to think about the future, wants to stick in the here and now. That is a problem for a lot of people because the here and now absolutely sucks. This Gemini energy, fresh in its throne, fresh in its power, is now sorting through, processing through all the things that have transpired, because now we have a fresh set of eyes and now we have to review everything. We have to figure out why it is that our heart feels the way that it does, why it is that we can't see the forest past the tree. We have to figure out the two choices, the two decisions, the two paths that are being presented to us. And guess what? The moon in Taurus wants nothing to do with it. The moon in Taurus just wants to focus on what we can do in the here and now in order to find safety, find security, find stability, find a grounded point in order for us to root in and let this storm pass. The storm I'm talking about is the new moon in Taurus eclipse energy that we are very much in, that is very much swirling, that is very much putting us in a state of quote unquote crisis and chaos. And realistically speaking, if you take a look around, there's no emergency. It just feels like that. So we're really going to have to dig deep within our meditational, spiritual, grounding practices in order to ride this wave.